I landed in what do they call the 14th wave. That was perhaps a half hour, maybe 45 minutes after the first troops landed. I landed with a reconnaissance group so that I could figure out where to land our artillery. So we had, in our battalion of artillery, we had 3 batteries, each one with 4 howitzers or a cannon. And each battery commander was on this reconnaissance group that landed with our colonel. And then he sent us off, one man to go near Mount Suribachi to look at the beach. That was me. And then the other 2 farther north. When I went down to the beach, I saw that that would be about the only place where we could bring our artillery in. So it took us about, maybe an hour to get 3 batteries of artillery ashore. And I was the only battery commander that was available because the other 2 had been pinned down by Japanese small arms fire and couldn't move. And they finally showed up after we were just about ready to fire some good salvos at the Japanese. We did get one of our howitzers into action, and he fired at a cave. That was the first American artillery shell fired on Iwo Jima. As we climbed up these levees or terraces, the Japanese were shooting from the left, Mount Suribachi, and from the right, up the northern part of the island, rifle and machine gun fire. It looked like if I put my hand up in the air, I'd get these bullets right through my hand. And fortunately, they didn't get any of us that were right in my group at that time. We took a direct hit on one of our guns on the 6th day, and one of our other batteries took a direct hit on the 8th or 10th day, and we knocked out their field artillery after about 8 or 10 days, so that the big guns that they had left were mortars. They had what they called a 120-degree mortar, which was pretty near 5 inches in diameter, with shot a projectile at, and those were very dangerous because you couldn't hear the projectile coming through the air, and when they would land and burst, they would throw fragments of shells for 25, 30 yards in each direction. And that's the one that we feared the most. Every day we got bad news with people getting killed. The first couple of days were quite bad. I was shot at each of those days and managed to avoid them, except for one small burst that went through my canteen and hit me in the hip. And then later I had a Japanese, it might have been a hand grenade that burst in the air right above my back as I was lying on the ground. And it didn't really hurt me, but it left some fragments in my flesh. And I didn't like that. The Japanese overpowered one of our forward observers, a second lieutenant who was a very good observer. And the 6 Japanese overpowered him and dragged him into a cave and tortured him. And 2 of his radio and telephone men ran into that cave and killed the enemy soldiers and dragged the lieutenant out. But he was already dead. That was a bad day.